Hope everybody's doing good today. I wanted to take a quick minute and share some insights to a conversation that has been definitely on my heart and soul for a long time, and recently it just kind of felt like it needed to be brought to life. The word acknowledgement is something that holds a lot of depth in my cells. Um, I've found that just growing up in the Midwest, and in particular, the way my mom raised my sister and I when it came to manners and being polite, my father, of course, too, but my mom really was the one that was instrumental in showing my sister and I how to properly respond when somebody would, send us a gift or invite us somewhere or whatnot. We always learned the life skill of acknowledgement, right? Somebody asks you, do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to attend something? And there was always a diligence in responding and acknowledging. And even if it was non-favorably or I have to decline, there was always some response of some sort. And I have found, just as we've come into such a technical world now and such a disconnected sense of humanity, to the degree that we are seeing this unfold, and I'm not speaking for every person here on earth, of course, but I have watched with my own eyes just how much people don't respond. They don't acknowledge. They fall through and they don't follow through. So acknowledgement and follow through are two very synchronistic. They're very synergistic from the lens that I look at things. And I feel like it warrants a little conversation. And what seems to be so common in, I think, common sense to communication, I find it falls flat. A lot of people say they're going to do something, they don't do it. They promise something, they can't deliver. They intend well. I don't fault people for having good intentions. And I've noticed that one of the things I have always done is stay on top of things to the degree that I will hold, people accountable or circle back with them or do as I say I'm going to do, like follow through on my word. And something in particular around that, as I've watched my own self grow, I've really learned the boundary of making any commitment that I'm perhaps unable to fulfill. And more as life has come, as present as it is with parenting and learning to balance all things, I'm more inclined to just saying, let me sit with it. I'm not so sure. I'll get back to you. As opposed to eagerness, just jumping on that and saying, yes, let's do this, no problem, which I get. Again, people mean well. So if it's a little bit of a whisper that I can drop in your insights up here, that would be, pay attention to the level of commitments you're making and where that ratio is, commitment to follow through. And what's that pattern in between what you say you're going to do and what you actually do? And why is it that it doesn't come to fruition? Or if it does come to fruition, what was it about that particular circumstance, invitation, or whatnot that, allowed you to feel like you were fully in and you were embracing of it? It's just something that it's kind of like an Achilles heel for me in particular. Right? And usually it's the very things that pain us or annoy us or drive us a little bit wacky or trigger us that we want to bring a conversation to. And it's I get it that not everyone's going to have the same set of skills when it comes to being organized or whatnot. My invitation would be, find something that can help you stay consistent to some degree when it comes to the energy exchange that you bring in communion with people. So if you know that you're not one that can hold a promise very well, then learn the art of speaking that to somebody that says, I really don't want to over deliver and under promise. So let me get back to you. Make a little note perhaps, or ask them, say, will you hold me accountable? Will you check back in with me? And I can let you know a little bit more clearly if that's something I can do. And if that person on the other end is like, no, I don't want to take on something more, respectfully understand that. But you might find somebody that's totally in compliance and says, yeah, sure, no problem. And it's a little bit easier for them. Maybe it's more of a strength for them than it is for you. So I would just invite you to sit with that. And I just speak this from a lens of my own life experiences, knowing, the patterns I've watched over and again with reaching out to people or being told something and people don't come through with it. And there's a boundary, of course, and it depends on the depth of that conversation or commitment or invitation or whatever it is that may warrant a conversation that you bring up to somebody and say, hey, I've noticed this, and again, when I do this, like, this is kind of what I'm seeing. Is there a reason why this pattern keeps persisting? And I would, encourage you and support you in having that candid conversation. Don't be afraid to address that if it is something that bothers you. And to some degree, you have to kind of weigh that out so it doesn't, everything doesn't become a battle. It really is about discernment and picking your battles so that we're not looking judgmental or critical on any level. So hopefully that helps. Just something I really wanted to bring in a voice kind of context today, the power of acknowledgement and follow through and really listening more clearly within us, and inviting you guys to really pay attention to see how that's showing up for you in your own life. And I invite you to share the conversation here with me with any of your responses. You can message below or inbox me, whatever feels best to you. I always like to keep the conversations going so we can go, grow, and flow all together. Okay. All my love. Take good care. Namaste.